Welcome to the Market Smarter, Sell More podcast. I'm your host, Andy Barnett, joined as always by the man who puts Hayes in the Hayes Group, Mr. Adam Hayes. How we doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Feel like we've done this before.
Right?
A time or two. You know what? And as many times as we've done this, we have yet to explain actually what the Hayes Group does. We've highlighted our customers plenty. So let's take a minute here and highlight us.
All right. What do you want to highlight?
Why don't you just explain to our viewers how we help our customers, what we do, the Hayes Group elevator pitch.
Yeah. Generally focus on companies, as you know, 2 million and up in revenue. The chief symptom they come to us with is they've exhausted their friends, family, and buddy deals, and they need to drive consistent, reliable pipeline and feed that to their sales and marketing team. And so that's typically when they find an organization like us. And so typically we'll start with a strategy session for them, identify, make sure that they have a total addressable market, and either they have the data for that or they don't. And then we'll look at, their ideal client profiles and where they are and how we, attract and convert, on different tactics after we've addressed the strategy. And typically, all of that always involves marketing production, whether it's video work or website work or, setting up. A lot of times we'll set up, their profiles or optimize their profiles for them, whether it's Google Business or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or all those things. Mm-hmm. And all that becomes part of a, ongoing strategy, involving the three-legged stool, inbound, outbound, and then, communicating with their existing customers. We call it something different. We call it fish, farm, and hunt internally, right? Yeah, but externally, I don't know that most people know what our internal process is. We call it fish, farm, and hunt. The external world calls it inbound, outbound, and then communicating with existing customers. But it's the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. We just give it a little bit more of a homey touch.
Yeah, it's just put our little touch on the process. Yeah. But we do have a lot of unique things and unique tool sets that we use for strategy planning, and then unique tool sets that we use as far as tactics planning underneath of that to support the strategy. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I've seen
we probably shouldn't give that away on the air.
I know, that's right. Yeah,
we got to leave some mystery and some intrigue.
That's right, a little bit. One of the things that I've seen, frequently, and it's not a knock on customers, it's not a knock on other marketing companies, and I think people are probably just a little unprepared going into it. But I've seen a lot of people who have had bad experiences with another group, regardless of who it is.
I mean, it's got to be at least 80% of the people that come to us, and they come to us from a bad relationship with another agency.
Why do you think that is? Because we've had people say, "Look, I was not prepared."
Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but I think there's a couple primary ones that what is happening in the marketplace is you have a lot of confusion because you have a lot of people out there on social channels and otherwise that are promoting one specific strategy. And it might be, hey, explode your brand with TikTok. Okay. And so they focus on that one thing. And then the potential client gets excited about one thing and saying, oh, TikTok's going to blow up our business. Yeah. Not understanding that it needs to attach to a larger strategy attached to attracting the right audience at the right time and converting them to action.
Right.
And they go down that rabbit hole, and then they're convinced that TikTok doesn't work. Well, that's not true. Mm-hmm. The problem is they're absolutely convinced that they've self-diagnosed their problem and haven't spoken to a doctor.
Right. Yeah. Which that makes perfect sense. So before we throw this to break, how are we feeling about the Bears free agency?
I mean, there hasn't been much action, so I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, there's not much going on. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know. I think that they, seem to be struggling with the decision between, drafting Caleb Williams and keeping Justin Fields. And I think it's created a lot of confusion in the draft world because other teams don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Right. Well, as a Colts fan, an outsider looking in with no real dog in the fight.
Yeah.
I keep seeing everybody's signing a quarterback. They're signing a quarterback. And it's this carousel, and Fields seems to be left off the carousel right now.
Well, so there's a couple of different theories probably, right? One theory is that other teams don't value him like the Bears do. Like, the Bears consider him a top 12 quarterback, would be my opinion of how they feel about it, because he's demonstrated that capability.
Right. Inconsistently, but he's demonstrated that he's capable.
Yeah. I mean, inconsistently, he's demonstrated he's a top 10 quarterback, but consistently, he's demonstrated he's top 15.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So I think that you have a couple things going on. One, maybe they did dip their toe in the water with trading him, and maybe their asking price was way higher than what teams were thinking it would be. And they're like, you know what, for that, no, we'll go out and we'll get, another free agent quarterback. Like I think Minnesota got Sam Darnold, right?
Right.
And Darnold doesn't have near the resume that Fields has.
But do the Bears trade to Minnesota within the division? Was
the price, too high?
Right. Well, I think, and
was it, or what the other theory is, he never was made available because they don't know what they're doing, and they know a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I think you'd agree with this if you could put your fandom aside for a brief minute, which I know is almost impossible for you, understandably. That's why they're called fans. They're fanatics.
Yeah.
Yes. As soon as you are dipping your toe in the water to see what we got out there, you've made your decision. You've made your decision at that point. If you're just gauging the interest in your quarterback, he ain't your quarterback anymore. That's my opinion.
I mean,
if you ride or die with this guy, this is my guy. You don't entertain a single thought about it.
Well, I think I agree with you in some regard, and also I think I put it in a different context than maybe you're putting it in. In the context being, unless you have a top 3 quarterback, you are not going to win the playoffs and a Super Bowl consistently.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's proven. Tom Brady and now Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
right. I mean, those guys are definitely generational talents. And you had some other guys that were that talented, like Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers. Sure. But they just didn't have the number of rings or Super Bowls that these guys have.
Yeah.
And I think what people are understanding is you might have a one-off where Flacco wins a Super Bowl with, or
a
Brad
great
Johnson.
defense. Yeah. With a legendary defense.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fluke. In the last 20 plus years, it's happened, 2 or 3 times.
You got to have the quarterback. There was a 12-year period where every quarterback that won the Super Bowl was either one of the Mannings, Roethlisberger, or Brady. That was it. For 12 years, it was literally one of 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have one of those 4, you're left out.
That's it. So I think the Bears say maybe Fields' ceiling is top 5, maybe, but nobody really knows. He hasn't demonstrated it.
Right. For whatever the reasons are. Whether it's coaching, scheme, whatever. And he hasn't demonstrated.
Right. And it's hard to evaluate.
Yeah.
I mean, could you project him that he could do that? Maybe. Right. But it's definitely not a certainty. So I think, the Bears are saying, hey, we've got a top 12 quarterback here. Right. I think he can be a top 12 quarterback consistently. But what we don't have is we don't have a top 5 quarterback. Could Caleb Williams be a top 5 quarterback? And I think if they lean more in that camp that they think he really could be, I think they go down that road. Right. I really do.
I think so too. Well, that being said, we should have saved all of this for the upcoming Hayes Group Studios Colts Bears podcast.
The crossover.
That's right. The crossover amongst all of our other ideas we have for podcast that will be coming soon in this year. So, but for now, we're on the Market Smarter, Sell More. We got a great guest coming up next. Great conversation we had with him. So right after this break, we will jump into that, and that's it.
All right.
That's it.
All right. We're out.
That's right. Go Colts.
Go Bears.
LHP, analytics, and IoT. No question you've heard the term digital transformation. What the heck does it mean? At its core, the goal of digital transformation is to remove bottlenecks in operations to grow your bottom line, specifically your manufacturing operation. Do you want to extend the life of your machines, accelerate production lines, enable smart manufacturing, eliminate out of stocks in your supply chain, or escape constant unplanned downtime? Let LHP quickly identify the inefficient gaps in operations to unlock hidden insights and deliver continuous improvements that empowers higher profits. Visit their website to book a strategy session today. LHP IoT, digital transformation that fuels profit. Welcome back to the Market Smarter Sell More podcast. We're now joined by our guest, Mr. Jason Beutler, the CEO of RoboSource. Thank you for joining us, Jason.
Hey, this will be fun.
I know.
Welcome on.
Looking forward to it too. So tell us a little bit about what you do, where you come from, who you are, what you're doing here.
Yeah. So let's see. My wife and I started RoboSource about 12 years ago now. And really the passion for us was I believe people wake up in the morning and they want to do like meaningful, impactful work.
Yeah.
I think most people, when they come in, they want their jobs to matter. And they want to know that the stuff they're doing on a day-to-day basis is actually making a difference. Mm-hmm. And so that's really the impetus behind RoboSource is how can we help people get some of that mundane, repetitive, just the stuff that has to happen in business, but isn't necessarily strategic and impactful and frankly inspiring for people to work on. How can we get that off their plate? And that's really where RoboSource came about. So we are a business process automation and artificial intelligence company that helps companies and helps people within those companies do work that matters.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk specifically about some of the things. Talk about some of the processes that you're currently working on, making better and more efficient. Give us some use case scenarios.
Yeah. So one of the cool things about it is this kind of applies across the whole business. We do everything from finance to HR to marketing to even like personal interactions with customers and clients.
Since it's a marketing show, let's talk about some marketing automation that you've done.
Yeah. A lot of screen capture type of stuff. So one of the most interesting things I did recently was a company who was advertising and marketing on Amazon. And what they wanted to know was of their products they had out there, where were they positioned on the search pages? And so they were actually at the time going out and manually counting what position they were on the product so that they could adjust their marketing spend to push them above the fold. Well, using AI now, you can go screen scrape, actually have it tell you what position it's in, as well as the information of the pieces that are around it, so that you could then optimize their spend to make sure that it was more direct. Instead of doing that once a day, they were doing it once an hour and getting a feel for how things were actually moving and
throughout the day. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. You mentioned some of those mundane tasks that are, have to be done for the business, but they're, like you said, they're not the most inspiring things. Like what kind of tasks specifically? Get just some examples of things people don't like doing that you can help with that process.
Yeah. Well, so some fun stories. One of our clients was doing a lot of recruiting, and as part of recruiting, they were going out on like LinkedIn and other services and finding people that might match the job that they were trying to recruit for. Then they had to turn around and hand key that data into an applicant tracking system. That's pretty mundane.
That's about as mundane as it gets. Yeah.
And so with our system, we actually were able to get it so that as they were in a tool like LinkedIn, they could essentially star and highlight individuals. And then the system would actually pull it out and put it into the front end for them. And, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. In this instance, one of the tools we use is called robotic process automation, where it's literally clicking the buttons the same way a human would and typing the same way that a human would go through that interface, which was pretty neat. And it was a tool that didn't really have what's referred to as an application programming interface or an API to allow you to do it kind of automatically behind the scenes.
Right.
We had to go through the front end, and that was a pretty neat solution for them.
How long has this process been since you had this idea and through implementation to where you are now? Because I have to imagine in the last year, 6 months, it's probably been so many advancements in that time that you're have a constantly moving target. I would have to imagine constantly evolving.
Yeah, what's interesting from my perspective is we're still doing the same thing we were 12 years ago. 12 years ago, we were writing software to help people manage and optimize their business. Now I'm using artificial intelligence and tools to do the same thing. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I've been doing this forever.
Yeah.
But the technology changes so fast. And especially with a lot of the generative AI tools, right? The chat GPTs, the Bards, the Llamas, the 50 other ones, Claudes, all is out there. Their capabilities are growing at an exponential rate.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about that, from my perspective, is the generative pieces are kind of neat. In my opinion, a lot of that is like kind of parlor trick. Great, you wrote a limerick. I'm proud of you. That's cool. But what's really cool at the generative is that it understands the context of unstructured data. So you can get an email in and actually have a computer understand what that email means, pull out information that you care about, and then make decisions going forward. We couldn't do that 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
That was a lot of programming.
Right.
That's where the advancements are really coming, and that's where things are pretty fun, because now all of a sudden opportunities to automate through the roof. Because you now can get at data you couldn't before.
Absolutely. Whereas you would have to have a human to make some of those decisions before. Now the machine is making some of the decisions.
And it can. And so there are two kinds of AI, right? There's the generative piece that's happening. It's actually all kind of the same thing, but for the sake of helping people understand what's going on, there's the generative pieces, which is what you see with chat. There's also the more traditional machine learning. And that's where you're taking your data and you're looking at the individual variables and the way that they all work together and the relationships that exist within your own data in order to do kind of predictive information or predictive analytics as data is coming in and be able to predict how this person relates to the way that your business is operating. What's really neat is when you can put the two of them together.
Right.
And that's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. So are you seeing some applications starting to go in that direction right now?
Yeah, we're seeing quite a bit on that front. So one of the things that we've done is we've built a platform for business processes. I don't know about your experience, but mine is a lot of clients that I go in and talk to about what they want to automate. They can't even tell me what their current process is on how they do it, let alone what the automation might look like. So in understanding that, what we did is we built a platform that essentially allows them to document and enforce their current business processes in a way that's actually integrated into the business. It's more than just put it in a binder on a shelf that you look at occasionally as, executive team says, hey, are we actually doing this? It's actually in the business and a part of the day-to-day operation. Then from there, we can start looking at the AI integration and the automations to help things become more efficient and more effective. If your business processes are in a managed piece of software, we can now do things like A/B testing, versioning, roll things back easier, a lot of power and functionality around it. That's where the machine learning and the generative come together in a really fancy, cool way.
Right. And it kind of gives you a recipe, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that platform is, we actually released it officially in October and have really been kind of ramping that one up. And there's some really neat things. You guys played a lot with the chat and So for me, one of the other aspects of it that it's interesting, if you talk about understanding context, is if I'm kind of projecting forward, the traditional human-computer interface is about to change drastically. I can't see forms being a thing much longer. When I can actually then have a conversation instead with my computer and say things like, hey, I'm about to onboard a client. What should I do? And have it come back and say, oh, well, I'll help you do that. In order to make that happen, here's the information I need. Sure, here's your information. Okay, I'll take it from here. Like, that's not a form. That's a conversation.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of this AI is going to start pushing us, is a lot of the more traditional form applications are going to no longer be necessary because the AI is able to understand the data and the context from a human standpoint.
Sure. So cool. So cool. Do you ever feel that you might be part of the end of the world?
I can't tell you the number of sales.
You know what? Hey, I'm on board with you. I'm going down in flames with you because it's going to be a super cool ending.
Yes. I think almost every sales call I have, I'm asked about Skynet.
Yeah, that's right. We're self-aware already. We're past the beginning.
It's pretty funny.
Where do you? How do clients find you? Do you do much going out searching for people saying, hey, like, I think my software can really help you? Or do people come to you saying, I need help. I don't know necessarily what I need help with. Can you assist with this? What's the process?
For the most part, it's word of mouth for us right now. Our platform's still pretty new. So we haven't really tried to ramp it up too much yet as we're just coming out of the beta phase. I will say it's interesting, though, because we do a lot with artificial intelligence. I was at a meeting on Monday. There were about 50 people from the business world that were all together, and we were talking about current trends of things that were going on within business. It was about a 2-hour conversation. after about, I don't know, 45 minutes, artificial intelligence came up. And I was really the only one in the room that had any experience on it. An hour and 15 minutes of question and answer basically is what the meeting turned into. Is, can AI do this? What could I do on this front? And it was like just a lot of back and forth on essentially how they could apply AI. Coming out of that meeting, I think I had probably half of the group reach out to me. Because there's a fear of missing out on artificial intelligence. There's everyone's being told if you're not on board, you're going to get left behind. And there's some truth to that because it's growing and accelerating so quickly. There's also I have no idea where to start. And so when I talk or in places like that and can start to lay out that path of, it's really not that complicated. Here's some paths that we can move forward. There gets to be a lot of energy around it.
I mean, I've seen it already before, like in the
because it's
ICANN
something
meeting.
they can sink their teeth into.
You've had those Q&As that have taken over at ICANN before, where it just becomes everybody peppering you with questions because it's so fascinating and informative, and somebody like you that has a deep knowledge in it that can really break it down in kind of layman's terms. You're able to communicate it to people. Like, here's how it's applicable in your particular industry. That's what I think people need. And that, getting out and finding the right places and the right forums to be able to describe that in layman's terms to a fool like me that that then can understand it. I think it is crucial for you. Absolutely. So
what are you looking forward to for 2024?
We're just continuing to roll this platform out. There's so much fun stuff going on the AI side. Recently, at least Chat has released the plugins components where it's all built on the open API standards. So you can write integrations into these systems, plug it into Chat, and then have conversations like with your CRM. You can be like, hey, what leads do I have open today? And it'll go ask your CRM and tell you.
Right.
That's cool stuff.
That's very cool.
Really cool.
So I get excited about that and being able to be a part of making that a reality for businesses. That's pretty fun for me. So I get excited about rolling that out with our platform and kind of giving people I joke it's kind of like Jarvis for your business, Like, hey Jarvis, can you help me do this? Kind of idea.
Can you do my dry clean? Not yet. Someday.
Exactly.
So let's jump over to the personal side. Let's get to know Jason, the human being, a little bit. So what do you say drives you? What motivates you? What inspires you?
Well, let's start with a passion for teaching people. And that's really, I think, a lot of what drives both my wife and I. We both were adjunct professors at universities for about 10 years.
That makes total sense. Total sense.
So we're really passionate around 18 to 30-year-olds. And a lot of our company, a lot of our team members are made up from that age demographic because there's a passion and excitement about what their life has to hold and where they're going. And it's really a lot of fun for me to engage those conversations with them. And that teaching aspect of like, I'm no longer in that 18 to 20 or 30-year-old range. So
just barely, right?
Just barely. But it's like, been around the block a little bit. And so to be able to say, hey, let's have a conversation. And not even so much in I've been there, listen to me, as much as it's like, let's just have an open conversation because the world's changing and your world is different than mine. And I want to learn from you too. And, that's a very motivating thing for me. And I love the leadership aspect of things, helping people learn what it means to hold people accountable, what it means to have hard conversations, but at the same time, do it with compassion and with an end goal in mind. That is in benefit of both people on that front. So that's exciting for me. I'm also a very competitive person. So I really personally, I play a lot of sports. Sand volleyball is my sport of choice. During the summer, it'll be 3 times a week. And so I love that.
So what do you do in the winter?
Well, I'm playing indoor volleyball now, but it's a different game. Like it's
so what makes faster. I'm sure it's a lot faster because you've got a lot more mobility. Because in the sand, your feet are kind of sunk in, right?
And in the sand, there's a little, in my opinion, there's a little more strategy around placement because it's harder to get to the ball. And indoor is just how hard can you hit it?
Yeah, I can see that, because change of direction out, on the sand it's awful difficult, like cuts and whatnot. Indoor, you can probably get to anything, so you got to overpower them.
So I'm a little older now. The people I'm playing are half my age, and to
seeing a trend here,
to outthink them is little more my speed than out athletic them.
You're pretty tall though.
I'm 6'6". So
have you always been into sports? You ever play basketball? I'm sure you got asked.
I did not. So part of my story is I was born with a tumor in my right fibia. It was inside the bone marrow, and it filled in with it was non-cancerous, but it filled in with a substance called fibrous dysplasia, and so my bone was very weak growing up, and so I, again, 6'6", 230, like I'm a prototypical tight end, something like that. Is like I couldn't do anything with contact sports, which crushed me in a lot of ways. I did play golf in high school, and I got to be a decent golfer.
I bet.
But yeah, when boys volleyball wasn't around much in the 90s when I was growing up. So
it's really just like the last 5, 6, 7 years that it's become. I know they have it in the high schools here now, and so you missed that.
So I missed that, but I picked it up and it played for about 20 some years now.
So do they have anywhere that has indoor sand volleyball courts?
They did. I think it closed down this year. That I played last winter indoor.
Where was it?
It was over in Greenfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why it closed? Just not enough people going, or?
I think it was part of a travel volleyball facility, and I think they wanted the space back for their travel teams.
Okay. So the hard courts.
Yeah.
Where do you play outdoor at? Like during the summers?
So there's a couple of places here in town. The ones that I enjoy, there's it's iBeach up in Westfield.
Like on 31, like right off 31. Okay, I've seen that a lot. Yeah.
Brand new courts, really good competition up there. It's a lot of fun. And Pinheads over off of 37.
Those are the only two I knew.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you knew the other one, but that's it. So
both of those are fun. There are quite a few others here in town. But those are the two that I play at because I'm on the north side.
Okay, those are the only two I know.
So I'm going to ask a cheating question because we already talked about it earlier. Coffee, soda. What's your drink of choice?
Yeah, it is Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is my drink in the morning. It's like some people say, have you had your coffee yet? Or if I haven't had my coffee, don't interrupt me. It's Mountain Dew for me. If I've not had my Mountain Dew,
is it just one?
Is it one or two or?
It's 24 ounces.
Okay.
So,
all right.
It's only one, right?
So it's one bottle.
It's one huge bottle.
It might be two cans.
We'll call it one.
Yeah, there you go.
You're a big guy.
Yeah, I am a big dude.
You just need the tall can.
If there's a 14 ounce, it creates a conundrum.
That's right. Yes, are you a early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Really?
Some of that is because of the computer science curriculum I had going through college. Again, I'm just old enough that computers in your dorm room weren't really a thing. At least my freshman and sophomore year. By junior and senior, it was. So in order to do your homework, you had to go to the computer lab. Well, in order to get a computer at the computer lab, you had to go after everyone else left.
Right.
Yes.
So homework for me would start at 9 or 10 o'clock at night because that's when I could get the computer. And it would go until I was done. Which would be 3, 4 in the morning.
Right.
They joked I went to Taylor University, and when I was there, the basement of the science building was nicknamed the dungeon because there were big metal doors that would echo when they closed, and us computer science students would go in and not come out. So
in the dungeon.
So we're in the dungeon, and that's kind of how it felt. But it was a lot of fun. But that's really ever since I've been a night owl. It's just.
And you just start to embrace it, right?
Yeah.
That's two night owls in a row, by the way.
It is.
Before we didn't.
I think we were 0 for 11.
Yeah, we were. And then literally today, second one today is a night owl. So
right.
I appreciate the night owls.
Did you burn yourself out on Ivanhoe's?
Yeah.
We
still go. My wife's originally from Upland.
Okay.
So we still will go up there occasionally, but I've been there a lot.
I bet. Yep.
I went to basketball camp there.
Oh yeah,
Taylor. Isn't it purple and yellow?
That's
a
great camp.
Yeah,
so.
It was cool. It didn't help. I mean, being 5'7" doesn't help either. And I don't have any excuses. My bones were fine.
Was it at least fun?
They just didn't grow. Yeah.
Fun.
Fantastic time.
All right.
Great time. That didn't help me be a better basketball player.
What was your challenge? What prevented you from being good?
This is my height only.
Was
That
it
yeah.
height?
I was,
Everything else?
I was spectacular.
You're hitting it from half court.
I was spectacular.
You're
Just too
draining
short.
threes from
Yeah,
half
that's right.
court.
I just need a chance. Put me in, coach. That's what it came down to. Are you a music guy?
I love listening to music.
What's
I don't play a lot,
Okay.
but I listen quite a bit.
Yeah. What's your jam there?
You know, I grew up on the Beach Boys,
Oh,
and
that's a good one.
that is still underpinnings of about everything I listen to.
Yeah.
It's got to have that harmony.
Sure.
And so that's important to me.
I played God Only Knows at my wedding.
That's
Dance with my
great
mom to
song.
that. Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that quite a bit. Both of my kids are actually very involved with music, so I have a very eclectic taste because of them.
Sure.
My daughter is down in Nashville, Tennessee, at Belmont University, and she's pushing country music. Country music's always sort of been I keep that one at arm's length, but but she's bringing it into the house more. So I'm starting to get to know a little country music. But don't tell her.
Don't watch this podcast.
She's going to take you down to Broadway Street. You know?
Yeah. She takes me all the time.
That's pretty wild.
Well, there's a huge mix still on Broadway.
Yeah.
Between,
depends on when you go. It's getting pretty, I'd say it's now 70, 80% country.
Yes.
Was that somebody knocking at
I
our
think
door?
somebody's knocking at our door. Cut. Good check. This is where we'll put a commercial in.
Yeah.
No worries.
We should put a on-air sign outside.
Yeah.
Is that Critchlow? We add a trinket keep adding new trinkets, so keeps it a little eye candy for people to stay interested.
Yeah. Awesome.
Were they dropping off the Midwest sign?
You just want to say what's up.
All right, deal. That 3 minutes, we're gonna cut that.
All right, and we're back.
Hey. So what TV shows are you watching, if any?
So I don't watch a lot of TV. It's one of those things that I don't know, someone a long time ago was like, if you're watching TV, you're wasting time on your business. And so I just was like, I'm going to start reading. So I picked up a lot of books. Ironically, now I read a lot of fantasy books. So I'm not sure it's actually of any value.
So what series have you gotten into?
I am a pretty big Brandon Sanderson fan.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Sanderson, the Stormlight archives are my favorite by far. Really enjoy that whole series. And he's still adding to that one. So that one's a lot of fun. Let's see, recently, what have I read? I'm in the midst of one called, it's going to leave me now.
I thought that Brandon Sanderson did he also help pick up and finish a series where
he took a
Wheel of Time?
Yeah, he
Look
finished
at
up
that.
Wheel of Time.
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, he finished that for Robert Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. Robert Jordan. Yes.
Yeah.
I knew he passed away, and then they brought Sanderson on to finish it. So.
You got an AI earbud.
I know.
And it just answered your
It's
question.
feeding me stuff
Right.
in my ear. Yeah. Jason gave it to me before the podcast started.
No, but so I really enjoy his stuff quite a bit.
Okay. So he's a reader. We haven't had a lot of readers here. Yeah. A lot of movies the same way. The movies fall in the same categories.
I go with my kids to the
theater.
Obviously during the height of the Avengers series. My daughter was really into that, and so was my son. So we hit that quite often. And don't get me wrong, Star Wars, all about it.
Sure.
Right? Like, and enjoy all of those. And we watch movies, but in general, TV, I don't really watch a lot of it.
Sure. You'd rather read.
Yeah, I end up reading.
I got it. How about vacations? We
love vacation was important. Travel was really important to me, especially growing up. And then it was important for our family. So my kids are older, 21 and 18. And we made it a goal to get them to as many national parks as we could while we were growing up.
Did you do the passport?
So we did.
Oh, that's cool.
So they've got a full passport. I think we hit mid 30s, 35, 36.
That's incredible.
What's a passport? Explain to me.
So you can get a passport that essentially marks all of your visits to national parks. So you can track how many national parks you visit, which ones.
At all of them.
So if you went to Yosemite and you went to, Indiana State Park, right?
It's like a checklist.
It's a stamp, so you can you can buy a sticker that you put in it that's like a picture of like, hey, this is Zion National Park, and then they've got stamps there that have the date. So you stamp, here's the date that I was there.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So how many did you get to?
35, 36, something like that.
Wow.
Did you guys make it to Yellowstone?
That's one we didn't make it to.
Really?
I really wanted to. We weren't able to get to that one. We're going to try here in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But
how many national parks are there?
I think 68, 69, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you're right at the halfway point.
Yeah, most of them are in Alaska. So,
so we'll probably stay around the 35, 40 range.
Yeah.
How many are in Indiana? Like 5?
National parks, I think just one.
Just one?
And it's Indiana Dunes. I think it's pretty new.
Okay.
Indiana, oh, really?
Yeah.
But several state parks,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. So
did you make it to the dunes?
We did.
Dunes? Okay,
yes,
good.
we made it to the dunes. My favorite park is Zion National Park. I don't know if either of you have been there. They've got a couple of really neat hikes. One that is I'm a little bit afraid of heights, and there's one called Angel's Landing that is like way high and like very narrow, and you're like holding onto a chain to not fall to your death. That one intimidated me, so I didn't do that one. But they have another one called the Narrows, which is walking up a riverbed that's coming down on, I think they're 2 500-foot cliffs on either side. At times you can touch on either, putting your hands out, you can touch, and the water is like knee high. And
well, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. My son, I think he was about 8 or 9 when we were doing that one. And we're about, I don't know, an hour or two in, and he looks back and he goes, Dad, this is the best day of my life.
You're like, okay, we made the right choice.
Yeah, right. That's a parenting win right there. Yeah. Me too now.
So where is Zion?
It's in Utah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I've not been there.
Yeah.
Love to go sometime.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
What would you do if money were no object? Every day, what would you do?
I mean, a lot of what I'm doing. I love AI.
Yeah.
I love doing that.
Mhm.
So that's part of why I started it. So it's because it's a passion for me. That being said, if I could still be involved with AI on the side, what I probably would do is open a little like surf shop on the beach.
Ooh, cool.
Just surfboards and beach stuff and just hang out.
Yeah.
That sounds enjoyable.
That sounds awesome.
So maybe San Diego?
Yeah. Somewhere kind of chill.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That'd be great. That's a second surf person too.
Right. 2 in a row.
Today.
I've never surfed, but it just would be fun.
Yeah.
That lifestyle appeals to you, right? Yeah.
That's what I always say, like some little beach hut in Tahiti and, just that would be great.
Follow-up question from earlier. So when you were talking about music, you said you don't play much. Did you used to play an instrument?
I did. I played guitar.
Okay.
A rhythm and a electric lead. I was in a ska band when I was in
that's
college.
cool.
So,
nice.
It's
coming back.
It's coming back, right? Bring back those trumpets.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun in college. But
those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
You stopped playing?
Yeah. When you don't have anyone to play with, after a while, you kind of get. I don't know. At least I got.
Sure.
To me, it was as much a social thing as it was a musical thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I just don't have anyone to play with, and so all my skills kind of. 25, 30 years later.
That's what I blame my skills on too. Because I haven't had enough people to play with. That's why I'm terrible. But no, I think we did the same thing. We've both gone through large stretches where I didn't even pick up a guitar for 5-10 years maybe, but then I dove right back into it. And the same way with
15 years. Yeah. I didn't play.
Didn't even play. That's crazy. How about 3 words your friends would use to describe you?
Ooh.
You can't say tall.
I know one.
I was gonna say
Tall.
Yeah.
Would you say curious?
Yeah. Probably. I get a lot of curious. I do get a lot of intimidating.
Yeah.
Really?
Because I'm a thinker. So even though I'm actually an extrovert and love being around people, when I'm around groups, I will sometimes get quiet because I'm processing.
Yeah. Taking it all in. Yeah.
And because I'm also the tall aspect, when you're tall and quiet and kind of looking down at people, they say that I come across a little intimidating.
I can see that.
So it's not on purpose, but I do think
when you're playing volleyball, use that to your advantage.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I would do that. Competitive. They would use the word competitive. I think. But that's painting me in a pretty bad picture. I think they also
intimidating,
competitive, curious.
Yeah.
But
So Michael Jordan's your favorite athlete, right?
oh, yeah, bring it. No, I think hopefully, and this is maybe me projecting what I want them to say more than what they would say, but I would hope they would say that I'm compassionate.
Yeah, I would think they'd probably say inspiring too. I
Yeah.
think your drive and your curiosity and I think that's very inspiring. At least it is to me. So I think people would say that as well. So now this comes to my favorite part of the show. We are now going to spin the wheel for a random question.
That's going to be up on the screen.
And if you want to spin around to the screen here, oops, I have to hit present first. Share screen right here with the picker wheel. So what you're going to get is a random question here. Hopefully it hadn't been something we've already discussed.
If it is, we'll
We will-
spin again.
If it is, or we'll just arbitrarily pick a new one. Come on.
Wow.
Okay. It was
At the
slow-mo.
speed of smell.
That's right. The smell. Okay. And
We've
it,
never had it take this
it
long.
might just spin for all of eternity too. So what we're going to do is we're going to decide that landed on UFOs and aliens.
Okay.
There we go.
So why don't you tell us about what your thoughts are on UFOs and aliens?
That's not something I've thought about recently.
Really?
I'm going to say definitely exist. Too much vast space in the universe for there to not be something else out there.
Uh-huh.
I do have a faith background, and I think there's too much. God is too creative of an individual to just create one species. I think it's going to be creating lots all the time. So I think there's something from that standpoint. I hope that they're reaching out to us because I want to learn from them.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Right?
There you go again. Yeah.
They probably have some really cool technology,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just want to see their tag.
I hope there's something going on there. If they figured out like warp speed, my kids laugh at me because I constantly say I want a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
my daughter says she'll never live on it with me because she watched Apollo 13 and she's a
Oh,
little freaked out by the whole oxygen thing. But
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fine. It's like I still want a spaceship. But yeah, if I could leverage their technology and see the universe, I'm all about it.
See, that's really,
Heck yeah.
it's really-
absolutely, especially in that, condensed time frame.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
it's really interesting because we've had that question has actually come up several times. I don't know why, but it's landed on that many times over our podcasts.
Oh,
And-
we put a weighted average on that wheel. Who are we kidding?
And by we, you must have. 'cause
No,
I don't know.
I didn't do it.
I don't know how to
I'm
do
just
that.
kidding.
But no, I would have thought there would be several people, at least a percentage of them, that would be like, I don't know, I haven't seen them, I don't buy into it. Literally, everybody's
I think we did have we had one.
Did we?
Yeah.
I feel
They're
like,
like, I'm not really sure.
yeah, I feel like most people have the very similar answer that you did, was where it's like, yeah, odds are, and I think that's a change
Yeah.
in society over the last, I don't know, 10 years, but
Mhm.
growing up, it used to, you're a crackpot. He
Yeah.
thought he saw an alien spacecraft.
Right.
That guy's nuts. But nowadays, it's almost, that when they had the congressional hearings, and you see all the responses on social media, people say,
What was the new telescope? They did the documentary.
"Oh
on
yeah,
it.
it was it replaced the Hubble. It was James Webb."
Yeah, the James Webb
James
telescope.
Webb. Yeah.
I think when that image came out, I mean, it was the image that was sent back was a paradigm shift for a
Yeah,
lot of people.
yeah, I think
right?
so.
When you see that and you see, oh my goodness, I'm looking at just one galaxy.
Yeah, right. And look how many galaxies you can see there.
Right.
And after those congressional hearings, all the social media response was basically, well, the government confirmed we have aliens and no one seemed to care.
Yeah.
Like it was literally, I mean, they pretty much said
It went
yes.
by with no fanfare.
Yeah, it literally it was yesterday's news,
Yeah.
the next day. So it's just crazy.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. We
hope you had fun.
Yeah,
this
hope
was
you
a
had
great
fun. We're
time.
gonna have to do
Awesome.
this again for sure. In the meantime, where can people find you? What's social media? Anything you want to plug? Now's your chance. We'll put it. Actually, it'll be on the screen for them to click on. But in the meantime, why don't you tell us? So.
Yes, well, check out robosource.us. That's our website. You can find me on LinkedIn. My last name is spelled funny. So we say Beutler, but it's got a random E in there. So Beutler. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter as well. JR Beutler is my handle. So
We'll put it all up on there. Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.